I have the absolute pleasure of speaking with Oli of Corker Brothers today. For those of you who are not familiar with Corker Brothers, brothers Oli and Harry are Tonbridge-based property developers who started in the game fairly recently and had huge success with their first development in Matfield. Their story is truly inspirational. If you're passionate about property, aspire to become a property developer, or simply love interior design, this conversation with Oli is sure to ignite your enthusiasm. Oli, thanks for joining us, mate. Your journey has been massive. Talk to us where it started, because for a lot of people listening, becoming a property developer would be unachievable.
Yeah, so we entered the industry very unconventionally, but prior to us sort of going into that industry, we'd grown up in Paddock all our lives. Went to school there, and my mum and dad had a family business there, and that was called Small Load. So when we left school, he also had a construction business, Corker Construction. We left school, went straight into the construction business, getting up at 5:30, getting home at 7, had a job in Putney, and we hated it, mate. And that sort of gave us a bit of a kick up the backside to really sort of, focus and understand what we wanted to do sort of longer term. And we spent probably, leaving school till we was about early 20s, just messing around like you do and getting up to all sorts of mischief, and then eventually, settling down and maturing. Yeah. And at that point, the construction business was quite quiet because of the recession we was in. But the Small Loads, the business, which was like the aggregate business, started to just naturally, organically sort of grow. Yeah. Just from the awareness that they was creating through word of mouth. Yeah, yeah. Prior to that, there was no marketing. It might have been like a little quarter page ad in the Weald Times or the local Focus newspaper at the time in Paddock Wood. And so we started working there, which was Small Loads. We was sweeping the yards, then we started driving the lorries, then we started going into the office, and that gave us a real good overview of like each different department and how that operated. And then we got to a stage where we outgrew that current yard. We used to be by the hot farm, and we was coming up to renewing our lease, and we needed to have a bigger space, so that we had outgrown that yard. Yeah. And so we knew on the A row where we are now, there was a yard coming up for lease a similar sort of time. And lucky enough, it was just perfect timing, mate. And
stars aligned.
And we got that site, and we said to my auntie, who was RFD at the time, can we afford it? And she said, just about. And so that was good enough for us, mate. There was no business plan or anything like that back then. And we just went all in. We just dived into it, and we rebranded the business, came up with the ideas of the show gardens. Yeah. Thought we would be sailing off into the sunset within a couple of years, and quickly realised that, we had to really innovate and dig deep and understand business properly. We didn't have no experience in that. No. And so just by doing, that was our degree, if you like. Over the last 10 years, we've done sales, customer service, operations, procurement, supply chain, finance. So we've almost like, grown that business whilst getting ourselves to the full business degree in running a business. And so I feel like we're at that stage now where we can spring off that reputation that we've built locally and then, do what we want to do for the long term. Yeah. So sorry, I went right off track.
No, I love it because we need the background.
We're completely off track. So you asked me how we then, got into development.
Perfect. Yeah.
So we was
foundations were with the aggregates, Corker. Yeah. And then.
Yeah. So we had that. We built that foundation to ensure that we had that wage, that cash flow, that solid foundation that we could start to really look at diversifying a little bit. But whilst we was growing that, my brother was trading the financial markets. That was always his thing. Cool. But I used to watch the DVDs, do it all with him to understand the language, and still grow with him in that area. Yeah. And it came just before COVID, and he wasn't sure whether he wanted to stay in the business where he was at Corker, or focus on trading full time. And so I said, look, why don't we go and do this course that I found online for development? Let's go and gain some knowledge here.
Try it, yeah.
And that is literally how we entered into the market. We just saw a video on YouTube. I pinged it to him on WhatsApp,
Yeah.
And I said, I think we should do this. And it was like a video of an hour long of them explaining how to source land.
Okay.
And it just opened my eyes up to how development was actually done.
Yeah.
Because you think that you've got to save your personal money. You really haven't got a clue how you can enter into that market.
Yeah.
And so that just gave us the insight
Yeah.
in actually, wow, this is how you really do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm very curious, I love to learn.
Yeah.
And so we dived heads first into that, done a 3-day course where you sort of understood how to bring the resources together, how to value the land, what people you needed to do that. And then we came back for another 3-day intensive, which was planning, sourcing land via all the prop tech software we use now. And that was it, mate. Hit the ground running, sending letters left, right and centre. Harry stepped away at that time. He was full-time trading during this time.
Yeah.
We then, we got a site in Matfield, which we was originally not going to send a letter to because we felt there was a lot of development going on in that village already.
Yeah.
And it might unsettle people if there was any further development.
Yeah.
But we thought, what have we got to lose? Like, it was a tiny little patch of land that you could fit a few houses in, which we thought we could fit a few houses in, and we got that one, mate, in the end.
And run with it. So you obviously search for the land, you find it, but people are like, well, how does that come about? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So you find it, and then did you have to partner with someone to try and get some knowledge of builders? Where does it go from there?
Yeah, so we didn't think that far ahead. It was like, right, what's the next step? We need some land.
Yeah.
We also knew that we're going to need to raise the capital to be able to buy the land.
Yeah.
So simultaneously, we was drafting letters, sourcing the land all ourselves, pinging them letters out, but also building our network. We knew quite a lot of people anyway, just from our sister business.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And we got the site. We offered on it. During COVID, that offer was accepted.
Yeah.
During that time, Richard Bass, who was a very good friend of ours, was very good friends with our partner. Yeah. And he introduced us to him. And he's one of the most experienced and renowned developers locally.
Yeah.
And he took me and Harry pretty much under his wing and backed us and said, right, lads, when you get planning, come back and see me. So we drove it, we funded, put all the risk money up to get it through planning. And we'd done that successfully eventually and took it back to him and said, we're ready to build this out. And he basically backed us, and we JV'd with him on the project, mate. And so not only did he back us financially, he backed us with all the experience and expertise that he's got around him. We was able to leverage his team.
Yeah, wicked.
Which really allowed us to still focus on other things, still be close to that, still be learning.
And still be running the other business, presumably, side by side.
Still heavily involved with that business,
Yeah.
And I think we was only able to do that. But we always understood that we needed to orchestrate it in that way. We needed, if it wasn't his team, we would need to have a freelance project manager or whoever those resources were and key people in that business. We knew we needed them to do it, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to do. He wouldn't be able to be in Dubai, or I wouldn't be able to be running the sister business.
No. So then talking about Matfield, so it was a development of 5 houses, wasn't it?
It was originally outlined for 3 big barns.
Right, okay.
We took our time to look at the planning, be a bit more creative, do our due diligence into sort of like the local market data, what was selling quicker, what was in high demand, what was selling per square foot higher. And we managed to break up 2 of the biggest barns to make 2 4-bed detached and 2 3-bed semis. Yeah. And that increased the GDV, so like the end value of the total site, and also the land value by quite a lot. So we managed to get nearer the vendors' expectations of what they were originally after. Yeah. Plus we had a few sort of more incentives built into the contract. And just during that period, Jack, we went from knowing not a lot really, just to figuring it out as much as we could, to then building that relationship with Michael naturally during that period, because it took so long. And, then being able to be in a point when we got to the contract to ring him and say, what do we do here? Or he's like, put this in there, or do this, or do that.
Leaning on his experience.
We started to be able to lean on him a little bit more. Now, we've got an amazing relationship with him. So yes, we built 5 houses.
Yeah, wicked. And And they weren't your usual houses, to be fair. There were other developments in Matfield, like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
But the quality difference between the two were massive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even down to like the suppliers that you used internally.
Yes.
Your kitchens, your bathrooms.
Yeah.
They were local suppliers, right?
Yeah. So, the guy that built supplied the bathrooms is a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
The guys that supplied the kitchens are, Michael knows them very well. So, local company based in Headcorn. We would scope out the supply chain.
Yeah.
To understand, obviously, cost.
Yeah.
You've got to bring things within budget.
Yeah, of course.
But equally quality.
Yeah.
Where is that balance between cost and quality? And we just needed to all align on that position. I think like if we didn't have Michael with his experience to be able to lean on, we probably would have gone a bit over the top with the spec. And whilst that looks really great on camera, on socials, it can be quite dangerous if you overspend and don't keep an eye on the budget and what you've appraised and what's financially stacked on that site. If you don't stay within that, you get carried away.
Sticky situation.
Easily run away.
Yeah.
So I think like we just sort of like was in his shadow and really sort of let him lead a bit on what he was expert at.
Yeah.
And we led on what we was an expert at, which was the marketing, the branding and stuff like that. Right?
So for the people listening, you guys done amazingly well from start to finish. You finished it in how many months?
14
months.
14 months, mate. Yeah, we built the houses. I think we probably could have done it 12, 13 months, you know, because we sold the last house for you, mate. And the minute we dropped that house to the right price, what do we have? Three offers on the table.
Yeah. All in one day, basically, wasn't it?
So I think if we had priced that sensibly from the start, and I think like at the tail end of the project, the market did start to turn slightly, didn't it?
Yeah.
So we was lucky. There was a bit of luck. There was we also made our own luck during that project, but there was a period of coming out of COVID and where we are now, where the market was still buoyant enough. And so we caught that wave to bring in the leads in the database. And then during the end of the project where we had one house, it started to tail off a bit. But like you say, we dropped that price and we sold the house instantly to a cash buyer.
Yeah, which was amazing.
So I honestly think we could have done it quicker than that. I honestly think as well that we could do it better than that.
Yeah. So like I think where we were aligned, so I met Oli. Well, I Instagram messaged you, didn't I? Because I saw the development in Matfield and I was like, mate, if you ever need an estate agent, it looks like you're doing brilliantly without one, but if you ever need one, let us know. And we obviously met from there. But you mainly sold all but one off plan. Didn't you? Through your social media marketing was really where we aligned. I felt it was relatively similar. And so you sold majority of the houses through targeted ads, right? And
all targeted ads, So like obviously, you get the traffic. There were stages at what we'd done it at. So I would have gone full branding. And it's not just about, it's like, well, people, the the view of traditional developers is that if you market the homes too early, you can bore people.
Okay.
But we wasn't marketing the homes. We was marketing the story, the journey, the updates of the site, where we was, the groundworks, this, and like really bringing people onto that story. So I probably would have launched it a little bit sooner. But we didn't. So we put the signs up. We sort of gauged where the organic traffic and the volume was coming from. And it was fairly slow. We only had 2 signs up and a couple of flags. And a bit of organic social sort of activity. Then when we turned on the ads with the right targeted data, so we knew where all the search data was coming from. We knew it was, clusters in Tonbridge Wells, clusters in Tonbridge, clusters here, clusters there. And so that enabled us, before we went and shot any video, to know where we was targeting these ads. And that, within a week, doubled our database. So we went from like 40 or 50 leads to double. And literally, mate, I would wake up in the morning and flick like that, and it would be lead after lead after lead.
So mental,
isn't it? Crazy. And it was a good time, obviously, in the year to be selling houses at that stage. And then every 6 weeks we would refresh the creative. We would once they was in our database, we would nurture those leads by sending updates, links to the new YouTube video, or, you know, then we'd start teasing exclusive access days where, you know, the people in a proceedable position would get the link first, and then if that wasn't fully booked, then we'd release it to the wider database. And so, like, just understanding how to really build all that out and bring people on the journey, but then also back it up on the behind the scenes with, like, your operations and stuff.
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it? Yeah, done so well and so different to so many others. Like, you know, you don't see many developers doing stuff like that, and evidently it worked, didn't it?
It was very, very new, and that's what excited us to get into the industry. We'd proven that in a very traditional industry, in the builders merchant industry, we without a doubt, we was the first ones doing videos in the builders merchants industry.
Yeah.
You know, we was the first ones to launch our
traditionally quite concept. An old school type of business, right?
Massively, mate. You know, we softened the experience from an intimidating builders merchants to a soft, really fun, you know,
much
immersive,
retail, you know, encouraging the retail customers too.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and that makes people relax. And then we started storytelling that and running ads, and we, you know, that, like I say, that 10-year period of doing that, we understood how to do that effectively, how to optimize your ads. And so, you know, we've done all that ourselves, and then when we transferred those skills over to Matfield, it was a huge success. Yeah. But we'd done it on a very small budget. We didn't, you know, all we'd done, we didn't have a brand. You know, I went on Illustrator, just got a typeface offline. Yeah. Put Corker Brothers, waxed it on your high vises and your hard hats. Took Rob up there.
Professional.
Took Rob up there that we, you know, we had on the retainers at Corker.
Yeah. Your camera guy.
Yeah, Rob got the shot, went up there half a day at Matfield, then we'd come and spend half a day at Corker doing our stuff. Yeah. And that was all put through, you know, Corker's resources.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So really, we just had to pay for the ad budget through Corker Brothers, and that was 500 quid a month. Yeah. And so, like, we saved a huge amount on agent fees, as you know, and we were just proactive, mate. And not many people in that world have that knowledge and that skill set to be able to do that. But equally, we didn't have the knowledge and the skill set to really understand how to manage, how to deliver, how to execute on the bill. Whereas that's why I think we're such a good partnership with Michael.
It worked.
To me, Harry and Michael, it's brilliant, mate, honestly. Yeah. I think, and people say, you're going to do the next one with him. Mate, I'm going to do every single one with him as long as I can.
Yeah.
You know, and there might be a point, you know, where us three are partners. Yeah. But he's a brilliant mentor, and he's a right laugh. Yeah. And we actually generally get along with him. Yeah. You know, it's not just like...
Which is what it's about, isn't it? You know? So you had the success of Matfield done.
All done.
Yeah, which is wicked. And then you've done a lot on social media, like rebranding, haven't you? So what led you to that before you launch your next project, I suppose?
Well, I think it was like, you know, we got the capital out of Matfield. Yeah. And, you know, before we'd done anything with that, it was like, well, where does that, how far does that capital stretch? Yeah. First of all, over a sort of 3-year period. You know, obviously we needed to keep building the pipeline. Yeah. So first of all, we needed to strategically budget on what we was doing financially. And for me, a massive part of that springing off and building that momentum of what we had done was repositioning our identity for the long term. And that was really exciting for me because I'd been eager to do that since we'd started getting into development. Do you know what I mean? So that was a real fun exercise, and what I love is designing sort of like, you know, branding and marketing. Yeah. And so, like, you know, I went out, and so I'm always consuming marketing content, brands, marketing, and that gets me into the algorithm of bringing up like freelancers, like whether that's videographers, graphic designers, and I'll always save them in folders. Yeah. Always save them on Instagram in folders. And so by the time I was ready to start doing that, I know instantly who I was bringing in the team to do it. Yeah. Joe Diver, you know, we brought Jack Dyson, who's sort of like a marketing strategist, just to sit with me as a bit of a sounding board, making sure the investment we was making was correct. Sound. You know, we are aligned in what we're doing. It's not just building a brand into a market that it wouldn't be well received. Yeah. You know, just like being real clear on what we're doing long term, short term, long term. Yeah. So, And then, you know, we brought Max in, the videographer, so different to Rob, just because like style-wise and colour grading and stuff like that, it needed to align with the brand and what we was trying to do there.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it was, how do we keep building momentum when we didn't have a live project?
Yeah,
and so we just,
which is tough.
Super tough. And so like, you know, naturally to us, it's just like, we know how to storytell.
Yeah.
And we know the importance of storytelling. That's not being done in that development world. No one's talking about anything other than what they're selling or what they're building.
Here's a house, do you want to buy it?
Yeah.
But what's the background of that? Yeah.
Exactly. So what mission are we on? You know, where are we going? Why are we different?
Yeah.
There's so many things that you can tell the story of. You know, who are we working with? You know, who are our partners? What are we doing next? And so it was all that. It was all creating these social shows and this structure around our marketing of like what we're focusing on. You know, our content pillars of, you know, when we edit, does it align with these pillars?
Yeah.
And then start rolling it out, mate. And that's what you've seen over the last months.
When people are invested in a project, especially if they've seen houses like the Matfield one, and they're like,
we've done it.
Yeah, I can see it. I like that style. I like what they're about.
Yeah.
And people that are planning for the future will be looking at your future developments going,
100%, mate.
Could I be living there?
We get probably 4 or 5 people sign up weekly.
Really?
Without even a project, just waiting for our next project.
Amazing.
And that's from just everything that we're doing, you know, sending out emails to the existing database that we've got from Matfield, showing them our new identity, showing them this video. You know, it's okay, we're not running any ads, but we're doing a lot of organic stuff, and we're focused on the quality of the content over the volume of the content. Yeah. And I think like that does really well for views. It's no longer really, the metric is really not followers. You know, the metric of followers is really for your ego.
Yeah,
right?
it is. Yeah,
it's the views and the awareness you can bring to the videos or the page or stuff like that.
And how many of your followers are actually engaging with the content?
Yeah, exactly, mate.
You could have thousands and thousands of followers, but if you're getting next to no engagement, then it's pointless, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. And because you're the face of that, again, different to other developers, they'll develop on a plot of land.
Yes.
Yes, they might be a name that a household name that people know, but who is it? Where you are the front.
We are
front man.
The brothers.
Yeah, literally, both of you are.
You know, and we're just local lads, Jack. You know, we're no different to anyone else. We grew up in Paddock all our lives. Yeah. You know, we've grinded our arse off and, you know, just made it work, figured it out on the way, and just
took a few risks.
Tenacious energy, mate. We just feel that we can, you know, spot the opportunity and position ourselves differently. And I think that's what excites me, is like to really come into an industry and see where we can position ourselves, but look at the wider view of, you know, what's going on in that sector. You know, I feel that the housing market needs a reset massively on a national level. To bring it to the more modern world that we all live in now. You know, everyone wants, you know, connectivity and social connection, human connection. Yeah. And you're losing that.
Yeah. And being local and mainly looking to develop locally is massive. You know what ticks people's boxes. You're not trying to buy a plot of land in the middle of nowhere that you don't know and taking a risk on it. It's educated risks, aren't they? And knowing what people locally want.
Exactly, mate. We know. I think that's such a big part of making sure that, you know, the location is correct, so that at the end of the project you're being able to sell them. You know, and it also aligns with our brand. You know, we want to build in the best locations where we ourselves would want to live. Yeah. You know, and where we know other people would want to live. Yeah. You know, we're not interested in doing areas where we wouldn't want to live ourselves. No. That's not being snobby.
No.
That's being strategic of like
it is
what we want to do, and you know, how do we design and build a product? How do we constantly refine our product? How do we then package it up and market it? You know, it's all that stuff that we just obsess over.
Yeah, which is noticeable. You know, you can tell that online from your Instagram and whatnot. So plans for the future then? You've obviously got stuff bubbling, right?
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff bubbling, mate, which is amazing. Yeah. So, you know, we didn't send any letters out until we got our new branding done, all our new letters done. But naturally, word of mouth allowed us to pick up a few sites. So we've got one super local to us. That's for 9 units.
Wicked, yeah.
We've been working on that all year. really, really prime location. You know, direct links to London on a train, on the outskirts of the village. So like
Wicked.
really well positioned, private boutique development, 5 4-beds and 4 3-bed semis.
Yeah.
And then like I was saying to you, you know, it's like what we've done at Matfield was amazing. How do we look at that and refine it? You know, can we refine the layouts? Can we refine the design of the houses? So we've been obsessing over that over the last sort of few months, and
Good.
you know, 2-hour meeting on Monday to look at the final revisions on the 3-beds to feel like, you know, does it feel too boxy upstairs? Can we make them a 2-story, which we've decided to do? You know, like I was saying to you, you know, the 4-beds have 2.5 stories. There's 2 bedrooms up in the roof, with a big bathroom. So it's self-contained up there for 2 double bedrooms, nice family bathroom.
Yeah, if you've got teenage kids or whatever, that and it's like obsessing, like literally, like you said, obsessing over the finer detail to make sure that the houses that you build are going to be saleable, desirable.
Exactly, mate. You know, they've got to be spot on.
Somewhere where people want to live.
Yeah, you know, and like when you build them, they might look good on plans, but when you build them, are they a livable space?
Yeah.
You know, can you walk around the bed up in the roof?
Yeah.
You know, and just like really getting into the detail, and, you know, leaning on Michael's experience and Tony's experience, his development director, who's brilliant. They give us so much advice on, you know, what to look out for. You know, asking the architects for a certain view so we can see how high the ceiling is up in the roof. And and our architects are amazing, mate. You know, Chris and the team, Elliot B from Fluid Architects, who we're using. Now, just super proactive. Also got their own suggestions, and like we've done so many revisions and like refining the layout and the design. I feel like this one's going to be a banger, mate.
And we talk about it because, you know, the market is always up and down. So you're building now, trying to do financial planning now when you don't know what it's going to be like in 12 months, 15 months, 24 months time.
Yes.
But if you make sure that they're always going to be the best houses on the market, price and how they're designed and desirable, then you've got your best shot, rather than overlooking the finer details.
100%. You've got to
becoming a bit unstuck later.
Yeah, and you're dead right. You know, we're in a very tough market. What does that look like in another 2 years? Probably isn't going to change too much.
No,
you know,
no.
I like to be optimistic, which I am a lot. But you know, that just makes us a little bit more cautious and conservative with the numbers. And then equally, you know, the product we're designing and we're refining, is it buildable within the budget? Does it stack up on how we've offered on the site and stuff like that? So like, you know, you really go into detail and like tweaking things of like unnecessary things and just refining the product from a saleability point of view, a design quality point of view, from a build point of view, from a budget point of view. Until you get to a point where we are now, ready to submit, and you know, we've ticked all those boxes. And fingers crossed, you know, we get the support from Tonbridge Borough Council, which we're fairly confident we will. You never know, mate. It's a big risk, this game. You know, we're in quite deep, you know, finance-wise of getting it, paying for all the surveys, the consultants, all the designs and planning and stuff. And so,
just got to keep your fingers crossed.
No risk, no reward.
It's paid off so far, so hopefully you'll be on. Yeah, so massive plans, and then that will give you obviously the content to go forward and start, you know, putting it out to people. And...
Mate, we've already, you know, we've already got all the shows. How do we launch the new site without saying the location? Like, I don't just want to stand in front of the site and say, this is our new land. How do we creatively, you know, shoot campaigns like they do in the fashion world? On how they release a new product, you know, like they do these cool shoots out in wherever they go, and like,
of course,
you know, go up in the mountains or drive these nice cars. Like, we're not going to do stuff like that. Going up in the mountains, but how do we do that? In a really engaging way without actually talking directly to the camera and telling you the location. We can show you the location by creating, you know, being really creative in that campaign. So, you know, we're lining all that up, mate. And
even like CGI images and stuff like that.
CGIs, yeah, we've got all the CGIs being done. Just
trying to sort of tease it without giving too much away at this stage.
Yeah, it's more like, you know, creative video ideas. How do we be really creative? Mate, honestly, the stuff that we've got coming is really cool. Really cool.
I'm really looking forward to it, mate. I think it's been so interesting, mate. I think, you know, to try and show people what you've got coming, how you've got to where you've come from is so wicked, mate.
Definitely, mate. You know, that's just one of our projects. Like I was saying earlier, you know, we've got a few in the pipeline which are super exciting.
Yeah, wicked.
And they'll be really innovative. Like I was talking to you earlier about. You're not going to see someone doing what we're going to do in the next few years, like with residential and the other things that I've been telling you about and how we connect that all.
I can see it, mate.
It's going to be
as soon as you
exciting,
said, I was like, it works. It's what people want. Whether they're moving out of London.
Yeah.
It's just 100%. I can see.
That's what excites me, Jack.
Yeah.
And that's what really excites me. But also, what really excites me is doing the basics really well as well. Listening to people, caring about people, being passionate about people. Yeah. And that's why we're not afraid to put ourselves out there, because we're genuine, down-to-earth, good people that love to work with genuine, down-to-earth, good people. Yeah. And so we want to attract that energy. Yeah. And what we're doing, and so we're listening to people from the local community. Thinking about how we integrate to the existing community. Yeah. Then looking at how we, refine our back-end ops in terms of what systems and software we're scoping out to make that buying experience when you reserve even slicker and better, and consolidating all your documents and comms that it just feels super slick from when we're going to finish.
I mean, when the guys when we sold the last one, the communication was unreal to get it through, and we did have some hurdles along the way, but further down the chain. But we got there, and the communication was like that, which. Definitely. Again, is
key, mate.
Yeah, it is.
And like you say, all things that you're always in that game, things are going to fall through. There's always going to be hurdles with solicitors and stuff. But and obsessing over how you refine that, how do you make that better as an experience to the end consumer buying that house, is stuff that I'm always thinking about. I'm just like, if it's marketing, if it's that, if it's the next project that we're trying to find, you've just got to be on all the time, mate. On
never
top
lapse.
Of it. Never, mate, never.
Wicked. Ollie, thanks so much. I don't know
pleasure,
if there's anything else you want to talk about, but I think we've pretty much covered
it, mate,
covered everything off. So, wicked,
Thank you for having me, Jack.
Thank you.
Appreciate it,
It's been a pleasure. Wicked. Cut. I hope you found this chat with Ollie inspirational and informative. Please like and subscribe, and if you are another local business owner interested in a chat, reach out to me today.